Mm. So I just made like a 10-minute video, only to realize that for some reason it did not save and completely fucked up. So anyway, I'm gonna do a new series here. It's not a new series. It's just gonna be multiple videos that are kind of correlated and on the same subject. In said videos, we will discuss such things as addictions, why people are addicted, etc. But to start out, the first step along the journey, let's discuss addictions one more time. Sorry. Okay. But anyway, to start out, I'm going to like, I guess narcissism and personality disorders and toxic people really is just boiled down in my mind so simplistically now. It's no longer this like foreign hard thing to understand. It's just it becomes so apparent, um, transparent, and just easy to notice now. It's just so it's really as hard as it seems to understand at first. Oh, because God knows how hard it was to understand at first. I mean, practically impossible to understand. But now, getting out of it and post abuse or whatever, it's so simple to me. And what I've seen with everybody that's disordered or toxic or cluster B is their absolute refusal to accept reality. Um, they literally live in their own farcical, made up world. So the narcissist will live in this world where they're this grandiose, super important person. Um, for an example of that, well, shit, all of my videos are an example of that. But you'll see the classical male narcissist who is so ego driven and they think that they're the best in the world, and they'll tell you that they make 300K a year, meanwhile they're making 45K, and they get all these women, meanwhile they haven't been on a date in like 5 years. Uh, they literally live in this just made up, complete bullshit world. And then you'll have the borderline that will be their made up alternate reality is they're the victim of this and nothing's their fault, and oh, everything has gone so wrong for them and they're just such a victim. You just see this time and time again. With oh geez, my chair just fucked up. With all these people, all toxic people, you just see it over and over and over again. Just absolute refusal to accept reality. That can go into any really facet of life. In my mind, when you see that in a person, you should just literally drop them immediately. So, like, when a good example is with my narcissist, where it was my fault that she got a speeding ticket, even though I wasn't in the car. Rather than accepting the reality and going, yes, I was speeding. No, you want to blame shift and make it my fault, i.e., sub their alternate reality in. You'll see this with abusive parents. I don't know who's doing over there. If you approach them about something they did to you when you were a child, and they'll again blame shift or reframe it as in that never happened, even though you know for a fucking fact it happened, or I didn't mean it like that. It was because I was trying to do what's best for you, and it's just complete horseshit. 99% of the time, though, they won't even accept the reality that it actually happened. Um, you just see this over and over and over again with toxic people, just this absolute refusal to just accept fucking reality as it is. They're just like, I reject your reality, substitute my own. I think that was from Mythbusters or something like that, or I think they got it from somewhere else. So I don't know where that came from, but it's exactly what these people do. They literally just distort reality and just sub in their own reality. And the problem therein lies is that will start to fuck with, if you're around these people enough, they'll start to fuck with your reality, because you don't, then you become disoriented. You don't know which way is up, which way is down after a while. You're like, well, fuck, I don't even remember which one's true anymore. Um, it's also this reality that's so painful for them is that's when you'll see the narcissistic rage. The narcissistic rage is only seen when these people have been slapped in the face hard enough with reality that they're forced to face it. And that rage that you see is them fighting back, trying to prove that reality is not real. Literally, that's their rage. Their rage isn't at you or the circumstance. Their rage is at the fact that they're have to come to face with the fact that they're living in a fucking made up world. And they will fight no matter what to hold on to this made up world. That's what you see with the rage. Um, now, other things that kind of go along with this too, this rejection of reality, is this. We've talked about this before too. That they're constant, constant of, I guess you'd call it just like auditory flooding or media flooding or just flooding, you know, flooding dialect. Just their constant need not to be in silence for any period of time. Their constant need not to have entertainment any period of time. Um, it's this 24/7 battle with them to be entertained or have something to do so that they, what happens if they're alone? You know, if their TV's not on, if they're not running their mouth, if they're not involved in someone else's drama, if they're not worried about work, if they're not, listening to music at full volume, if they're not doing this, doing this, they have to be doing. What happens if they're not doing 24/7 is they have maybe 5 minutes of quiet time to where they have to sit alone. And what happens when you sit alone and quiet? Reality's like, hey, it's me. I'm over here. You want to talk? And fuck no, they don't want to talk. Um, so that's, it all ties together. It all ties together, man. So the next video I'm going to be doing on this is about addictions, and how that plays into all of it and rejecting reality. Uh, and it's going to fuck with y'all's head because the way I'm going to describe it and the way I'm planning on describing it, you're going to see this shit everywhere. Like literally everywhere. And I'm not just talking about good old chemical addictions. I'm talking about addictions as in damn near practically everything. As he says while indulging himself. So I hope this first one kind of made sense. So that's just a boiled down basic. Narcissism is not that confusing. Borderline is not that confusing. Cluster B is not that confusing. Toxic people aren't that confusing. They literally just can't live in reality. And they're going to do everything in their power to reject the reality. That's sitting alone. That's their income. And when they're in a relationship with you, when you actually start to become a reality, they reject that too. They want to keep living in the dream world. This is why they're so capable of starting new relationships so quickly. Is because before the relationship has even began, they've already made up this dream of what the person is. So that's worked into their dream reality, and then go, oh well, this puzzle piece fits right in. Boop. Well, this dream that they made up, in the first 2 days of meeting you, all of a sudden, when that reality is challenged, discard, so on and so forth. But just as easily, the next day, they can meet somebody else and a whole new dream begins. I'm sure this all makes sense to you. Let me know what you think. Forward to my second video here, probably in a day or two. I don't know. I've been super busy. But yeah, that's just my idea of really how how simple toxic people are. And if you kind of keep that in mind, you'll notice it very, very quickly, just how quickly people, or how quick, not how quickly, but just really when you're paying attention to it. And I want to say it's like a very narrow spectrum, but it's also just a huge, broad spectrum. Just when you see people rejecting reality, ask yourself the question, why are they rejecting reality? Why won't they take responsibility? And normally it's always a poisonous person that's doing that. Healthy people own up to their actions, own up to reality. It's as easy as that. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.